Elon Musk, shocked, seeing black homeless woman wearing necklace revealing millionaire secret. The city blared around Ethan Blake like a wild beast. Horns honking, voices shouting, feet pounding the cracked sidewalks. Los Angeles at night always glittered, but beneath the shine was a cold emptiness. Ethan's breath puffed quick and sharp in the chilly air as he hurried past flickering streetlights and restless crowds. Then, out of nowhere, something snagged his attention. There she was, Maya, sitting alone on the corner, wrapped in ragged clothes that barely blocked the chill. But what stopped Ethan dead wasn't her worn shoes or tired eyes. It was the necklace. Dangling against her collarbone, heavy and gleaming, was a piece so oddly beautiful it pulled the city's noise into a hush. Ethan felt a lump rise in his throat the moment his gaze caught the necklace's intricate loops of silver and tiny sapphires. It was a necklace from his past, from a childhood memory he had long treasured. His heart hammered. How did this necklace end up here, on a woman who looked like she had nothing left? The street around them buzzed with life. Neon signs flickering shadows over crumpled blankets and discarded cups. People surged past, eyes on phones, or turned away from the harsh reality. But Maya didn't flinch. Her dark, tired eyes held a quiet fire, a fierce kind of strength that hammered against their circumstances. Ethan felt his chest tighten as he crouched down beside her. His hands trembling, he reached out, but stopped. The necklace wasn't hers in the usual way. It wore her, like a badge, like a story too heavy to carry alone. Maya, he whispered, even though he didn't know if that was her name yet. Her smile was slow, but steady. You see more than most do. The name struck a chord. He hadn't asked, but it fit. Something about her whole presence was raw survival. The weight of years living hard, but still standing. It knocked something loose inside Ethan. The hollow success of boardrooms and red carpets felt smaller suddenly, more fragile. Obsession planted itself fast. That night, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about the necklace. He dug into old photos, talked to family friends, all while the city's pulse never slowed. He was chasing a whisper, a family secret tangled up in forgotten pain and buried truths. The necklace wasn't just jewelry. It was a key, maybe even a warning. Just when cracks in his perfect world were starting to show, a shadow appeared. A figure from the edges, a man with cold eyes and a warning tone. "Leave it alone," he snapped. "Some secrets don't deserve to come back." Maya watched with sharp eyes. That necklace, it's not just metal and stones. It's a power. It can change things, maybe even save lives. Ethan's mind spun. The choice stretched before him like dark waters. Dive into the past, into the mystery, and risk everything. Or stay afloat in his glittery, empty kingdom. Maya slipped the necklace closer, pulling a tiny, folded note hidden in the clasp. Her voice was low. "Listen to this. It'll change everything you think you know." Ethan unfolded the paper with shaky fingers. The words blurred. The city's noise faded, and a cold shiver ran down his spine. What was this secret? What had he just plunged himself into? And how far was he willing to go to find the truth? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like. That really helps me with the algorithm. Ho ho ho, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Ethan unfolded the paper with shaky fingers. The words blurred, the city's noise faded, and a cold shiver ran down his spine. He felt like he was standing on the edge of a cliff, about to dive into the unknown. But before he could decipher the note, a loud crash erupted behind them. A flash of panic sliced through the air. Ethan spun around, heart racing. A group of men, faces twisted in anger, were shouting, pushing through the crowd. They barged past startled onlookers, heading straight for Maya. Ethan felt horror grip him. Maya! His voice shot out, breaking through the chaos. In an instant, one of the men grabbed Maya's arm, pulling her to her feet. Get up. We're done hiding. His eyes were wild, full of an urgency that felt like fire. Ethan shot up, adrenaline surging. Let her go. His hands balled into fists. The warmth of courage surged through him. The world around him blurred as he stepped forward, instinct guiding him. Maya's expression shifted. Fear ignited, but also a flicker of defiance. Stop, she shouted, pulling away from the man. You don't understand. Understand what? Ethan snapped, his voice sharp. What's going on? And then it happened. Maya took a breath, steadying herself. That necklace, it's not what you think. It's a curse. She looked him straight in the eyes. It's not just a necklace. It holds a darkness I've carried for years. Ethan's heart dropped. A curse? Confusion tangled within him. The secrets of our family, she continued, trembling slightly. They don't just belong to me. They stitch through time, connecting us, even in ways we don't know. The men behind her exchanged glances, uncertainty mixing with aggression. One of them sneered. Stop playing games, Maya. You're not getting out of this. Maya's voice grew desperate. I was wrong to keep you away, Ethan. You need to know. But before she could finish, the man jerked her toward him. Enough of this! His grip tightened, shadows closing in. Ethan rushed forward, fueled by instinct, but another man stepped in, blocking his path. The world felt like it was holding its breath, the air heavy with fear and tension. Suddenly, a deafening noise erupted. A gunshot echoed through the air. Time froze. The crowd gasped. People scrambled. Maya stumbled, her eyes wide in shock. Ethan's heart raced. He lunged towards her, but everything was chaos. He reached out. Maya, but she was falling. The note slipped from his fingers as he grasped her shoulder. Maya. His voice cracked. With the crowd was a blur of shouting, cries for help drowning out everything. In that chaotic moment, as he held her, the words of the note flashed in his mind like a beacon. Whispers of a fate intertwined with the necklace. Secrets that could destroy them all. Maya, stay with me. He could feel the weight of everything crashing down. This wasn't just about a necklace. It was about the truths that lay hidden beneath layers of pain and history. But as he looked into her eyes, the words blurred before his eyes, morphing into shadows as they crammed against the noise of the city. He drew a deep breath, his fingers trembling against the coarse paper. She was staring, mouth agape, fear racing across her face. He dropped the note back into her hands, instinct kicking in. "Stay here," he urged, racing toward the chaos. A crowd was forming. A woman lay crumpled on the pavement, blood pooling around her. The horror clawed at his throat, the metallic scent of fear thick in the air. "What happened?" Ethan shouted, shoving through the throng. A stranger shouted back, "She was hit by a car! Someone get help!" Dial tones echoed as frantic calls poured in. But Ethan couldn't focus. His heart raced for Maya. He turned, slicing through the crowd to reach her. Maya. He was met with a blank expression, the necklace swaying like a pendulum between them, heavy with untold stories. Then, with a sudden realization, Maya clutched her necklace, squeezing it tight. It wasn't just metal and stones. It wasn't just a necklace. Her voice trembled, blending fear with urgency. It came from a place deeper. It's a beacon, a warning. "What do you mean?" Ethan barked, panic threading through him. But before she could answer, a shrill siren pierced the night, slicing through the gathered bodies. Paramedics arrived, rushing past him, focused on the woman on the ground. A shadow fell over them. Someone from the edges moved in closer. That same man with cold, piercing eyes. The one who warned Ethan, "Get away from her!" The man spat, pointing at Maya. His expression darkened, rigid with intent. "You have no idea what you're messing with." A ripple of tension surged through the crowd. Words hung heavy in the air, like smoke. Ethan's heart sank. Everything he thought he knew about this night, this necklace, was spinning out of control. Maya shivered, realization dawning on her as she clutched the necklace even tighter. Suddenly, the woman on the ground let out a weak moan, gasping. The crowd leaned in, tension coiling tighter. "We have to run! Now!" "Run? From what?" Ethan demanded, confusion flashing in his eyes. "The truth!" she gasped, her voice taut with urgency. "If we don't get away, we might lose everything!" Before he could process her words, chaos erupted. The man lunged toward Maya, desperation in his eyes, shouting, "You're not safe! They're coming for you!" Ethan's blood turned to ice. He tightened his grip on Maya's hand, fear clamping down on his chest. Behind him, the crowd surged. Faces twisted with fear and uncertainty. The heat of danger blazed in the air. What was happening? Who were they running from? And what did the necklace truly mean? His mind swirled, questions swirling like a storm. But as sirens wailed and shadows loomed, the true nature of this night shifted into something darker, something secretive and wild. Ethan and Maya glanced at each other, breathless and wide-eyed. In that split second, they made a choice, racing into the murky depths of uncertainty, hands holding tightly. They were plunged into a darkness that promised to reveal everything and nothing. What truths were lurking beneath the surface? Ethan and Maya glanced at each other, breathless and wide-eyed. In that split second, they made a choice, racing into the murky depths of uncertainty, hands holding tightly. They were plunged into a darkness that promised to reveal everything and nothing. They darted down a narrow alley, shadows stretching behind them. Footsteps echoed close, the urgency of their hearts racing with every pulse. "We can't stop. Not now," Ethan urged, squeezing Maya's hand tighter. Panic threatened to drown him. but there was a fierce determination burning in her eyes. "Ethan, the necklace, it will," she gasped, but the words faded as they stumbled into a clearing. A flickering streetlight. "You're in danger!" she shouted, her voice sharp against the night. Ethan's heart raced anew. "Who are you?" he barked, shifting protectively in front of Maya. "What do you want?" "It's not what I want," she said urgently, glancing over her shoulder. "It's about the necklace. It holds power. Darkness you can't comprehend." Maya's grip tightened around Ethan, the metal pressing against her skin like a weight. "What do you mean?" Maya asked, her voice trembling. "The secrets you think are buried, they run deeper than you know," the woman said, stepping closer. She pointed directly at Maya. "It ties you both to something bigger. Your family, their histories, even your lives." "Stop!" Ethan snapped. "What does that mean?" But the woman didn't answer. Instead, she looked past them, uncertainty clouding her features. "They're coming. You need to know the truth about the necklace." Just then, a group of people flooded into the clearing, faces distorted with rage. Ethan's stomach dropped. "We have to go!" But the woman held her ground. "Take it off her!" she yelled. "It's the only way." A surge of confusion struck. "Take what off?" He stumbled, words darting around in a flurry of fear. Suddenly, the streetlight flickered out. A heavy darkness struck the alley. Panic seized him. He felt Maya's warmth beside him, but the looming shadows engulfed everything else. The air thickened, electric with dread. "Trust me," the woman cried. "You have to. The clause is irreversible." Ethan felt a pang of doubt. "What are you talking about?" Then the shocking truth struck like a lightning bolt. The woman's face, he recognized her. It was his mother, the one who had vanished years ago, leaving only whispers of regret and sorrow. "Mom?" His voice shook, disbelief sweeping over him. But instead of warmth, her eyes blazed with an unsettling intensity. "Ethan, the necklace," she began, but before she could finish, the ground beneath them rippled. An earthquake of emotions shattered the stillness. Ethan staggered as he realized, not just whispers. Instead, it was a connection that bound them through pain and dark legacies. The men surged forward, faces twisted in anger. But the air crackled with impending danger. "Protect her!" his mother screamed. But Ethan felt a chill spread through him as the truth dawned on him. This wasn't just a family secret. It was a curse woven through generations. "Mom, stop!" he begged, reaching for her. But the shadows closed in around them. Maya looked at Ethan, her eyes wide with confusion and a hint of fear. But before he could reach her, a blinding light erupted from the necklace, releasing a shockwave that sent everyone sprawling. The world erupted into chaos. Ethan's heart stopped. Maya's scream pierced through the blinding light. "Ethan!" In that moment, as everything felt suspended in time, he realized he was teetering on the edge of a truth that could unravel everything he held dear. Who were they? What did the necklace truly mean? And as the world faded into darkness, one question loomed large in his mind. Would this darkness bring them together or tear them apart forever? Ethan unfolded the paper with shaky fingers. The words blurred. The city's noise faded, and a cold shiver ran down his spine. What was this secret? What had he just plunged himself into? And how far was he willing to go to find the truth? Maya leaned closer, her breath warm against the cool night air. "It's more than just a necklace, Ethan. It's—" Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the night, shaking the ground beneath them. Ethan's heart leaped into his throat. A nearby car had hit a lamppost, the metal screeching as it crumpled. A sharp scream pierced the air. He turned instinctively, his instincts screaming danger. People dove for cover as chaos erupted. Shouts mingled with cries for help. It was a flash of confusion, a storm of limbs and wild expressions. Ethan's eyes darted back to Maya, whose face was suddenly drawn tight with fear. "Get away from here," she urged, gripping his arm like a lifeline. "It's not safe." But he didn't move. The paper still crumpled in his hand, the looming question smothered under the panic. Was this really a mere accident? Somewhere, deep inside, he sensed something darker waiting to reveal itself. He looked around just in time to see a man in a dark jacket slip into the shadows, his eyes cold and calculating. Before he could say a word, the man turned and locked eyes with Ethan. In that instant, Ethan was struck by the familiar glint of recognition. A chill ran down his spine. This was someone from his past, someone he had thought was gone forever. "Maya," he whispered, but his voice faltered. "I think I know him." "Don't," she shouted. "Trust me, you don't want to get involved." But the words were lost in the rising tide of chaos. Suddenly, there was a second, louder crash. Ethan's pulse quickened as flames erupted from the car. The heat blasted against his skin, turning the night into a hellish glow. "That's not just an accident, Ethan!" Maya's voice cut through the noise, trembling with urgency. "We need to leave now!" Something twisted in his gut. The paper in his hand was no longer just about the necklace. The truth was spiraling into a different kind of darkness. What did this man know? And why was Maya so desperate to protect him? Before he could process it, a figure stumbled out from the crowd. A woman, blood smeared across her face. She stumbled forward shouting, "The necklace! Thereafter the necklace!" Ethan's breath caught in his throat. The truth he had been chasing suddenly felt like a curse. It wasn't just jewelry. It was a target. He looked at Maya, her eyes wide, flickering between fear and something else. Defiance. "They'll come for you too," she warned, gazing into the chaos like it was a storm rolling in. "We have to go, now!" But Ethan shook his head, the weight of the moment crashing down on him. He couldn't let this go. Not now. "No, I need to know what's happening." And just then, the man from the shadows stepped out, a sinister smirk on his lips. "You really think you can play with fire, Ethan?" The world felt like it was teetering on the edge. Suddenly, the past and present collided. Secrets twisted into a snare, and his heart raced. What game was being played? "Ethan!" Maya urged again, desperation spilling into her voice. "We have to get out of here. Follow me!" But his world swirled. The man watched, his eyes glinting with menace. Ethan took a step back, words unformed as confusion settled like smoke. What was the real story? Whose side was he truly on? The darkness breathed around him, thick and heavy, and all at once he was faced with a question that felt like a dagger. How deep did this rabbit hole go? Ethan unfolded the note with shaky fingers. The words blurred before his eyes, a jumble of shadows and whispers, overshadowed by the city's roar. A cold sweat dripped down his back, and he was suddenly hyper-aware of everything. The chill in the air, the stench of trash lining the street, the unblinking gaze of Maya. "Read it," Maya urged, her voice steady yet firm, like a heartbeat anchoring him to the moment. He glanced down, but his mind was spinning. The names scrawled on the paper were names he hadn't heard in years. Family names, places that once felt like home. But as he focused, letters swirled together, then settled into something sickeningly clear. They took everything from you. Your mother's secret must stay buried. You are not who you think you are. Maya, Ethan's heart dropped. The words hit him like a punch, unraveling threads of security he had been clinging to. His breath caught. Who was he, really? What did this mean? He looked up, but the street felt different now, darker, suffocating, as if the air had thickened with history he didn't understand. "Maya," he stammered, trying to piece together the jigsaw of his past. "Do you know what this means?" She leaned closer, her dark eyes narrowing, flickering, with something that looked a lot like concern. Or was it fear? "You have to be careful. Some truths can shatter your world." But before he could process her urgency, the cold-eyed figure resurfaced like a dark cloud rolling in. The man's eyes burned with an icy intensity, his voice a rumble of thunder. "You should have left it alone, kid," he hissed. "Some secrets you can't unearth. They'll consume you." Ethan felt a chill crawl up his spine, the pieces of his heart threatening to break apart. "Why? What do you know?" His voice was louder, breaking against the din of the city. "Too much!" the man shot back, his tone steely as a blade. "Your mother traded everything for that necklace. Her past is a deadly game. You think you can just walk back into her life?" A memory tugged at the edges of Ethan's mind. His mother, tears shimmering in her eyes, always saying to stay away from shadows. Was this the shadow she meant? Maya touched his arm, grounding him. "Ethan, listen to him. The necklace isn't just a piece of jewelry. It's a curse and a blessing. It holds secrets, ones that need to stay hidden." Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the streets, pulling their attention. A police car skidded to a stop, sirens blaring, scattering bystanders. The cold-eyed man backed away, slipping into the shadows like a ghost. "Maya, what is really going on?" Panic laced each word. "What did I just step into?" But before she could answer, the note slipped from Ethan's hands, spiraling down into a puddle. He lunged, but the moment stretched as if the universe held its breath. A figure emerged from the darkness. His mother. Her face was pale but determined, and the necklace around Maya's neck pulsed with a life of its own, glowing like a beacon. "Maya, don't!" she shouted, but it was too late. Maya's expression shifted, eyes widening in horror. "No! It's all wrong!" Then suddenly, everything exploded. The street lit up with flashes of chaos. Voices tangled in fear, shadows weaving into a storm of uncertainty. Ethan's heart raced. The necklace gleamed ominously, filled with potential for ruin or salvation. What had he just unearthed? As the sirens rang louder, he knew one thing for certain. There was no turning back now. Ethan unfolded the paper with shaky fingers, holding his breath as he read the note. The words blurred for a moment, then sharpened into focus. "The necklace is more than you think. It connects blood to blood, and it carries the weight of lives lost. His mind raced. Blood to blood? Lives lost? Panic slithered coldly through his veins. Suddenly, his heart began to pound louder, resonating against the eerie quiet surrounding them, everything else fading into a distant hum. Maya's eyes locked onto his, a knowing look hovering between them. Fear or hope, he couldn't tell. Ethan, you need to understand. It's not just a necklace. It's a key to something monumental, she urged, her voice steady, but urgent. Just then, a loud crash came from the street, cutting through the tension like a knife. A car had swerved into a nearby food cart, the metal clanging violently against the pavement. People screamed, scattering like leaves in a storm. Ethan's heart jolted. Instinct had him on his feet in an instant. "Maya!" he shouted, looking back at her. But she remained still, her hands gripping the necklace tightly, her gaze fixed on something beyond him. Before he could ask why, shadows flickered behind her. A figure stepped into the light of a street lamp. It was the man with cold eyes from before. But there was something else, something shrouded in darkness, a threatening aura that felt almost palpable. "You should have left it alone," he hissed, his voice low and dangerous. Ethan felt a surge of dread. "What do you know about the necklace?" he demanded, his voice steady against the rising panic. The man's lips curled into a twisted smirk. "More than you realize. It's not just hers. It belonged to your family, didn't it? The Blake family secret." He glanced at Maya, almost with pity. "You're all wrapped up in something much bigger than you can handle." "What do you mean?" Ethan felt a bead of sweat trickle down his back. He was swimming in a whirlpool of confusion, the truth slipping just beyond grasp. In an instant, the man lunged toward Maya, reaching for the necklace. But she was quick. She moved aside, pulling Ethan with her, and they stumbled back, away from the crazed figure. "Run!" Maya shouted, and they took off down the street, hurried footsteps colliding with the pavement. Behind them, chaos erupted. Shouts, car horns, and sirens blending into a cacophony. Once they turned a corner, they ducked into a narrow alley. Ethan leaned against the wall, breathless. What the hell was that? Maya's dark eyes were wide with fear and something else. That man? He knows more about this necklace than I do. It's connected to you, to your family. There are secrets I can't explain. What secrets? He pressed, desperation flaring in his chest. Maya reached up, brushing her fingers over the necklace as if it were a living thing. Your mother, she wasn't who you thought she was. This necklace, it holds the truth of your bloodline. It carries stories no one wanted to tell. His mind was spinning, heart racing. Everything he thought he knew about himself, his family, was crumbling like old paint. What had this woman just revealed? Then why is it with you? Ethan breathed, fighting against the whirlwind of confusion and revelation. Before she could answer, a sound echoed from the alley's entrance, a low, rumbling growl. Ethan turned, eyes widening. Shadows gathered, forming into shapes he could hardly comprehend. The man had followed them. Time to reveal the truth, Ethan. Maya's voice quavered, drifting into a whisper as the shadows closed in, sealing off any chance of escape. Ethan felt his heart sink, a chill creeping into his bones. The weight of her words pressed down on him, a storm brewing in his mind. What had he stumbled into? And who really was Maya? As the darkness swallowed them, he realized the story was just beginning. Ethan and Maya glanced at each other, breathless and wide-eyed. In that split second, they made a choice, racing into the murky depths of uncertainty, hands holding tightly. They were plunged into a darkness that promised to reveal everything and nothing. As shadows pressed in, the man with cold eyes stepped closer, a predatory smile creeping across his face. "You think you can run from the truth?" he hissed, his voice low, almost seductive in its menace. The darkness felt heavier, pressing against Ethan's chest. "What do you want?" he shouted, the urgency coursing through him. He felt the weight of Maya's hand, the tension in the air, thickening like fog. "An explanation," the man replied, stepping into the faint light, revealing a face twisted in a mix of malice and triumph. "You've only scratched the surface, but it's in your blood. Your mother made a choice, Ethan. A choice that comes with a price." Behind them, the shadows flickered, and Ethan felt a surge of fear. "What choice? What are you talking about?" Maya's grip tightened around the necklace, breath hitching at her throat. "I'm not part of this," she cried, stepping backward, trembling. "I don't want to be part of this." "Run!" Ethan shouted, pulling her closer. But the man raised the hand, and a sharp gust of wind whipped through the alley, chilling them both to the bone. "What did she trade?" he demanded, voice trembling with fury. "Who are you?" Before the man could respond, a blinding light erupted from the necklace, casting the alley in a strange glow. Ethan shielded his eyes, heart pounding as the world exploded into chaos. "Maya!" he called, but the shout was swallowed by the light. When the illumination dimmed, they were no longer in the alley, but surrounded by swirling shadows of memories, images of a life he never lived. He saw flashes of his mother's face, etched with pain, words swirling around them that he couldn't comprehend. 1,000 whispers filled his ears, secrets and half-truths merging into a storm. A voice rang loud, cutting through the confusion. He recognized it. It was the cold-eyed man, now echoing in the depths of his mind. "Ethan Blake, blood of the lost, you are the key," he sneered. "The curse is yours to carry. You're more connected to this than you know." Suddenly, the world collapsed back into darkness, bracing in quiet. Ethan blinked, gasping for breath, reality crash-landing back into focus. Maya stood beside him, tears streaking down her face. "What just happened? What did we see?" I don't know," Ethan stammered, trying to reconcile the chaos in his mind. But it felt... The sound of footsteps shattered the moment. Behind Maya, the shadows coalesced, revealing more figures. They moved in closer, their intentions unreadable. Ethan instinctively pulled Maya behind him, heart racing with primal instinct. Then one figure stepped into the light. It was a woman, unfamiliar yet eerily known. "Ethan," she said softly, her voice laced with pain. "It's time for the truth to come out." "Who are you?" he demanded, voice quaking. "I'm your sister," she revealed, eyes wide and filled with regret. "I am the one your mother tried to protect, and I'm here to warn you, a darkness is upon us." Ethan felt his world tilt. Sister? The word hung in the air like shattered glass, cutting deeper than any blade. "What?" This can't be right. But before he could process, the cold-eyed man lunged forward, grabbing the necklace from Maya's neck. "You don't get to choose," he bellowed, holding it aloft like a trophy. "No!" Maya screamed, reaching for it, but shadows whisked around them, pulling her away. The necklace gleamed in the dim light, pulsating with an eerie life of its own. "You don't understand what this holds," the man snarled. "You all think you're innocent, but this—" Suddenly, a world seemed to shift again. The ground trembled as if alive, and Ethan felt those words shake the very foundations of his beliefs. "You're trapped in a web of lies," his sister whispered, gazing at him with haunting eyes. "Everything you know is a facade." And as the shadows swirled, Ethan's heart fell into a chasm of disbelief. A piercing realization settled in. Who was he, really? What had been hidden from him? The truth felt like a tidal wave crashing down, disorienting and merciless. "Ethan!" Maya cried, reaching for him again. But he was rooted, caught between disbelief and fear. As the darkness deepened, a question simmered in the air, rippling like a stone thrown in still water. Would they break the chains binding them, or would the darkness consume them all? Ethan's heart raced as he stared at the woman claiming to be his sister. Reality slipped like sand through his fingers. Hadn't he lost everything already? And now this? The shadows closed in tighter, the air thick with his confusion. "Maya, he stammered, trying to piece together the fragments of his shattered world. But before he could finish, a jolt shook the ground beneath them. The cold-eyed man laughed, a dark, cruel sound. "You think you can escape this? You're tied to it, blood to blood. You're trapped within the walls of your own family's secrets." Ethan felt a surge of anger, his fists clenched. "What do you know about my family? Who are you?" Suddenly, the ground trembled violently. A low rumble echoed, as if the very earth was warning them. The necklace around Maya's neck flickered with light, swirling energy pulsating like a heartbeat. And then, without warning, a loud crack split the air. A thunderous roar erupted as a fissure opened in the ground nearby, swallowing everything in its path. Panic surged through the crowd. People screamed, scattering like leaves in a storm. Shadows leapt toward the crack, consumed by the dark abyss. "Run, now!" Ethan shouted, fear igniting urgency within him. He grabbed Maya's hand and pulled her away, but she stumbled for a moment, her eyes locked on the chaos unfurling before them. And then a figure staggered out from the dust and smoke, cloaked in darkness, but raising a trembling hand. It was his mother. "Ethan!" she cried, voice both desperate and commanding. "You need to understand." He froze. Every heartbeat felt like an eternity. The air crackled with energy, and the necklace glimmered wildly, reflecting the chaotic scene. "What are you doing here?" he managed, confusion mingling with disbelief. "Everything you've known is a lie!" she shouted, stepping closer as the ground trembled beneath her, threatening to swallow them whole. "You were never meant to be apart from this. I had to protect you. All of you!" The shadows surged towards them, the cold-eyed man watching from the edge, his eyes gleaming with knowing. "You thought you could hide it all? You were wrong." Maya pulled Ethan back, her grip tightening. "Ethan, we have to go. We can't let this consume us. But then, the true horror erupted. The world shifted again. The darkness coalesced into familiar faces. Figures emerged from the shadows, revealing themselves as family, lost and long forgotten. Each one wore anguish on their faces, mouths moving in silent pleas. "Mom," Ethan whispered, tears pooling in his eyes. "What happened to you? To us?" "Ah! No time!" she shouted. "Listen!" And in that moment, the chilling truth struck. These were the voices of his ancestors, trapped within the necklace's power. They began to whisper, a chorus of pain. "Save us! Break the curse! It's all your fault!" Ethan stumbled backward, the weight of blame crashing down. In a flash, it all unraveled. He was the key to this curse, the culmination of a family legacy steeped in darkness. The guilt surged, pulling him under. "Ethan," Maya breathed, eyes wide in fear. She could feel it too, the weight of their shared fate closing in. But then the cold-eyed man laughed, a cruel mockery of hope. "You thought you were special?" he sneered. "This burden is yours. The truth is deeper than you know." Ethan's thoughts spiraled, heart racing, suffocated by revelations. Could this all be true? Was their link so strong he'd unknowingly inherited his family's pain? As the darkness thickened and edges blurred into shadows, one question consumed him. Was this curse always meant for him? Or had they just awakened something far worse? In that moment, reality shattered like glass. Would he accept this legacy, or fight against the very blood that bound him? And in the chaos, as fate twirled before him, he felt both dread and an undeniable spark of power. How far would he go to break free? Ethan's heart felt like it might explode. Shadows danced around him, whispers of his family echoing in his mind. "No," he shouted, "I will not let this define me." With a surge of determination, he stepped toward the dark-eyed man. "You think you've trapped me? You're wrong." His voice rang clear, cutting through the chaos as if it were a knife. Maya stood firm beside him, the necklace pulsing brighter, drawing strength from their combined resolve. "This ends tonight," she declared. "We reclaim what's ours." The man sneered, shadows swirling at his feet. "You have no idea what you're up against," he taunted, stepping forward as the earth trembled beneath them. But Ethan took a deep breath, a calm settling over him like a protective shield. "No more running, no more hiding. This is our fight." He turned to the shadowy figures around him, each face a fragment of his past. "We'll break this curse together." In that moment, the air shifted. The figure of his mother glowed, her anguish transforming into fierce pride. "Fight for your truth," she urged, her voice weaving through the darkness. Suddenly, the necklace flared brightly, an explosion of light, freeing the trapped souls around them. Faces appeared, lost and hopeful. "Give voice to the silence," they chorused, lifting the heaviness that had shrouded him. Ethan felt the power surge within him, an electric current of connection, grounding him to every single ancestor whose story had been silenced. "Together!" he yelled, reaching for Maya's hand. He could see his sister nodding, eyes alight with newfound strength. As they joined forces, the dark-eyed man's face twisted in rage. "No, you can't do this!" But his voice was drowned out. the light around Ethan and Maya engulfing them, pushing against the shadows. The dark energy crackled, breaking and twisting, unleashing all the pain and secrets that had held them captive. Flames erupted, illuminating the chaos, each flicker representing a story unleashing its fury. Ethan focused on the glimmering necklace, each pulse resonating with the truth of their family. "Let it go! Set us free!" he shouted, letting the words flow through him like a river. With a final surge of strength, the necklace exploded in a dazzling display, scattering the darkness like mist in sunlight. The shadows disintegrated, the cold-eyed man fading into screams of defeat, lost to the rising tide of light. Breathless, Ethan and Maya emerged from the whirlwind. The darkness that had threatened to consume them dissipated, leaving behind a hushed clarity. "Did we do it?" Maya asked, eyes searching Ethan's. He felt the weight of grief lift, replaced by something warm and bright. "I think we did," he whispered. "But we have so much to talk about, so much we haven't uncovered yet." With that uncertainty lingering, they turned to see the figures of their family, ethereal and glowing, standing in the light. Smiles breaking the barriers time had built. "Maya! Ethan!" his mother called, pride shining in her eyes. "You've taken the first step. Your truths are intertwined, and the journey is far from over." With a sense of hope blooming, they took a deep breath, ready to embrace the mysteries that awaited. Ethan felt a spark within him, a promise of connection, of understanding. Their adventures had just begun. You have to subscribe now. Don't miss the upcoming exclusive stories that dive deeper into these mysteries. Smash that like button to show your support and feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. And share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see how it all unfolds. This is the moment to show your support, and we can't wait to hear from you. Don't wait even a second longer to share. You're part of this community, and we're so glad you're here.